F1 22. It's been a couple of weeks since the last race in Japan, the wonderful, challenging circuit of Suzuka. A frustrating one, that one. And there may be more frustrations to come, considering that we are at risk of having to maybe change another powertrain component before the season is done. And in the coming practice sessions, I think I'll have to lean more heavily on older components to see me through some of those sessions. So it's going to be a tricky end to the season, and particularly on this well-known tricky circuit. For poops and laughs, let's have a quick look in the item shop. Very common livery there with an arrow on it. This smooth livery, quite kind of reminiscent actually of the Marussia, I think. Yes, please do communicate with those online services. That is reminiscent of the Benetton, or the early Renault days. All very French, and that as well. I was hoping there might be something that we could point and laugh at, but that was quite dry. Never mind. I guess at least it stops me wasting time. Thanks, Formula 122 video game. You did me a favour. Up to 10 seasons can be played in this game. That's nice. I'll do one, thanks. Took long enough. Round 19. Is at the Circuit of the Americas, Austin, Texas. Very exciting. 6th in the drivers' standings at the moment. Reasonably clear of Sergio Perez, but Lando Norris is 5th. I think hunting down and passing him in the drivers' standings is really my challenge now for the rest of this season. That is definitely where the focus will be. We'll have to keep an eye on his performance this weekend. It could be a bit threatening. Let's load. Make our way to team headquarters, remind ourselves where we are. It's that energy store is really the one, isn't it? 60% wear. Energy store 1 is at 75, and we really shouldn't touch it. So it's a case of exactly when do we want to risk bringing in a third energy store? It will be needed at some point, I think. We're at 60% wear there at 586 laps. 75 was 766. It's not impossible to try and run the rest of the season without upgrading it, but I'm a bit nervous about it, I'll be honest. ICE4 is at 28%. ICE3 is good for practice. We can fit that in for practice sessions. That'll be fine. I think, ran with a little bit of MGUK last time, so it's probably MGUH that I'm going to want to fit. If I do that and ICE3, get those stuck on now. Gearbox 4 for practice 1. This will result in a slightly slower car, but I'm going to have to do it. And we'll let that take us through at least the first practice session. a quick look at where we are on the progress history, things are all very close together in terms of performance between the Red Bulls, Ferraris and the Mercedes cars. Probably not much left in the development race this season. But there are developments coming onto the car. Some of those, I think maybe all of those, in fact, might not actually be ready until the last two races. So, here we go. Before we hop in an F1 car, we'll be doing another Pirelli Hot Lap. I had a stab at drifting around the Suzuka circuit last time out. I feel like maybe time attack is going to be the way I push forward on this one. That'll be in the Mercedes AMG GTR Pro, which is more on brand, to be fair, considering I am the second Mercedes driver. Let's just remind myself where I ended up in that last race. 14th, yeah, 14th. Ill-sighted strategy call did not help proceedings. 5-place grid penalty as well, of course. Got bit on the butt a little bit. We'll really try not to make those mistakes for the final 4 races. Cool. Okay, great. Let's just get straight into it. Always 2 presses for... No, not drift! Not drift. Not drift. Not drift. Not drift! Have I skipped it, or do I just go back? Oh, this is perfect. What a start. Right, okay. Not drift! Oh. Okay, drift. You've twisted my arm. Gilly fam, hello. Oh dear. I didn't want to do drift! And I don't think I can undo my my decision. So this is where we are, folks. God, why can't I change my mind? Unbelievable. That's what happens when I'm all like distracted. And oh, let's go and look at a thing. If you want to see more distraction, do join me during the week for Cyberpunk 2077, won't you? Because there'll be loads of that. Anyway, here we go. So, I wanted to do time attack, but my stupid fat thumbs have decided I'll do drift instead. So, push the car beyond its limits to perform exciting drifts. Yay! The objective is to score as many points as possible within the given time frame, which is 3 minutes. Speed, duration, and angle of drift, all contributing factors to achieving the maximum score. I'll suck at this. 1,000 driver acclaim points will be mine if I score gold. Unlikely. Silver, 500 points, and bronze, 250 acclaim points. Let's just get this over and done with. This is my motto now for the rest of the stretch of playing F1 22. Let's get this over and done with. Don't check chat and drive. Those are the rules. You know how this works by now. When I'm driving, I gotta be driving. So let's get into race position here. Let's bring the microphone in a little bit, shall we? There we go. And get this thing done. Cheeky drift. Get something in the bank. I have to stay on track. That's more like it. Get me to bronze at least. Straight line here. Let's not waste time. Got a minute left. Get bronze anyway. Okay, silver it is then. I'll walk away with silver. That was a good sequence of the circuit to get some proper drifting going on. There we go. I'll run away with that. Silver's fine. The way you drive an F1 car and the way you drift one of these cars, like antithetical, polar opposites to each other. I'm walking away with that. Silver. Thanks for the GG, Skilly fam, who's now lurking. How dare he? Can everyone please wish Gilly fam a happy birthday, by the way? It was his birthday yesterday. I mean, if I could, and I'm not sure I can. Here we go. If I do that and then that, I can give him his flowers. Okay. Race weekend, Circuit of the Americas. Look at that. Look at that circuit. Look at all those corners. I mean, you saw it then when I was doing the Pirelli Hot Laps. You'll see it a little bit better, I think, when I'm driving around an F1 car, slightly better than I did trying to drift. Should be fun. Some very technically challenging parts, especially in the first sector. Probably take me a while to just tune into that. Well, let's make our way into the race weekend anyway. We've got stuff to look at the workstation, all that stuff. So a bit of work to do yet. Oh, I see we have a new tier of freebies. 2 and 3 are both blank. What a rip. Here we go.
Okay, I need your attention. The tech regulations are changing. There's a risk some of our hard work will be undone, so we need to mitigate it. As soon as you can, I want you to look at the developments we have and tell us what areas you want to invest in protecting.
Okay, so a certain amount of kind of long-term game playing here in terms of things that'll run into the next season and seasons beyond, and things that, you know, again, consequences are not huge. Now, here's something that that surprises me. I would probably have to look to verify this, but I don't remember there ever being a wet session at the Circuit of the Americas. But you'll see here, practice 2, changeable conditions. Here's the weekend preview. Very standard. The tyre wear roll dampers was the part that failed. And has been reordered. Hopefully will be delivered in a couple of races' time. But there have been quite a few positive changes in the car. A lot of it to do with chassis and weight distribution. Qualifying the race, all dry, all sunny, all fine. Is the story with the rivalry, the last driver rivalry of the season. It's me versus my teammate, and I'm 1 point ahead with 1 race left. So I need to be on the money in practice programs, in qualifying, and in the race to have a chance of staying ahead and winning the third final rivalry of the year. So, regulation changes are affecting the chassis more than any other. 8 weeks remaining here, it says. Regulation changes will come into force at the start of next season, making existing upgrades obsolete. Yay! Such upgrades can be adapted at 50% development cost to make them legal for next season's regulations. All currently fitted upgrades will remain active on the car for the remainder of this. Any non-adapted upgrades will be lost beyond that point. Holy whoa. 12 parts at risk. So I guess this is how the game deals with, what do you do with your development points towards the end of the season? Because it's very unlikely that you're able to fit new parts to that car for the rest of that season. So we have a lot of stuff here that we need to think about. And only 515 points at this stage. So these will be things to consider at the end of the race weekend, when we'll have a lot more resource points to play with than the 515 which I have now, which, I mean, some of the more valuable upgrades are going to need a lot more than that to protect them, right? Okay. That's kind of it then. Be interesting to see exactly how disturbed practice 2 will be by weather. I can't imagine a giant downpour, but we'll see. So this is how the evening will shake out. We have 3 practice sessions, a maximum of 60 minutes each. They tend to not last that long. We could be looking at maybe the next hour and a half to 2 hours of practice runs. Then one-shot qualifying, and then a 28-lap race, about 50% race distance. Those races will take between 3/4 of an hour and an hour to run. And that's going to be the way the evening shakes down. Let's go to practice. Great. So, quite a bit of durability development boosts here. Stuff, again, that probably at this stage of the season I'm not going to worry about too much. Let's move on and go to track. Shakedown.
And with all the cars now over the line, let's see our top 3 again. Hamilton, Leclerc and Skip. And if today's practice session is anything to go by, we're in for an exceptional weekend of Formula One.
Well, don't let the timings deceive you. Oh, 3rd fastest. Steve must be doing really well. I'm not doing well at all. 1 second off my teammate. A 138.3. Charles Leclerc just 1/10, well, less than a tenth, half a tenth faster. On soft tyres as well in Ferrari. Could be a good weekend for the Mercedes, but I had to do an awful lot of laps in that session. The practice programs, I think, were actually a bit of a diversion because they were making me do things that I wasn't quite ready to do because I wasn't comfortable with the circuit yet. Sector 1 is my weak spot. I'm losing close to a second in Sector 1 at the moment, and it's all about carrying the right kind of speed through turns, 2, 3, 4, 5. A lot of time to be gained through there, and in the practice session itself, quite worrying thing about it is how quick cars behind were able to catch up with me, which, you know, in race conditions is unforgivable, really. So there's a lot of work to be done, more practice to be had. I think, though, that looking at the results from the end of that session, where I was outside of any practice program, just sticking on soft tyres and having a go, showed that there was room for improvement. I was improving, and if I can just do a bit more of that outside of focusing on doing specific things for practice programs, I should get more comfortable, and from that Sector 1 loss will start to diminish. But there's a long way to go to make sure that happens. Yeah, I will. I will. It really is just a case of running around and round and round and round and round until things stick, or just improve enough. So back at the workstation, and as you'll see, we're going to have mixed conditions here in practice 2. %, now on energy store. 69 MGU-H. I have to shuffle over to Gearbox 5 now, I think. But maybe keep everything else as is currently. 63% on energy store. You're looking at what? About 150, 160 laps there. Let's say an average of 30 laps over the next 4 races gives you 120. And every time you do a practice program of 3 laps or 5 laps, there's an out lap and an in lap as well, so you add 2 to all of those. And very, very quickly, you would surpass that. Feeling a bit sweaty about having to bring in a new energy store, but just like even like a cursory estimate over the laps that are still to come, that gets us over 766, I think. Certainly a lot more to use in these, so I do need to lean heavily on these old parts, don't I? Turbocharger will last us fine, control electronics lasts us fine. Ugh. Anyway, right. Juggling components, that's going to be the fun and laughter we'll be having over the next few races. Practice 2, changeable conditions. We won't really know for sure how rough it'll be until we're actually in the session, so let's not muck about. They're really not giving anything away in these tiers anymore, are they? Desperate for money.
To remind ourselves of our top 3, who are Verstappen, Sainz and Skip. What an incredible practice session. The fun doesn't stop here though. Join us again as the rest of the weekend unfolds.
I think that was an improvement. I did practice 2 twice though. In my first attempt, I chose to do a few laps outside of any practice programs on soft tyres. By the time I came back to the pits and decided to do the race strategy program, the rain was already coming down. Like within 15 minutes of that session, it was already starting to rain. Not great. The unfortunate thing about that is I managed to set a 137.3. restarted the session, did race strategy first. That's where I set my time of a 1:38.1. Race strategy practice program went very well. Came back into the pits, put on that set of softs, by which time it's raining, couldn't set a representative time, end of session. Have decided to fit that additional energy store, so there will be a penalty, a grid place penalty coming up in the race. But considering Sector 1 on this track is not my strong point, could be a bit of a weakness in the race, I could get myself into the position where I get a reasonable points finished, fingers crossed today, and there should be no more technical ghosts haunting us for the last 3 races. Bit of a gamble, but if everything else gets played sensibly, hopefully a reasonable recovery can be made in today's race. So we go into practice 3 with that weekend's penalty hanging over us, but the knowledge that as much of the practice programs have been done, I can focus on that single lap pace and we just push on into qualifying and see what we can do. Little improvements, I think. There's some fun to be had as long as it just stays lovely, warm and dry for the rest of the weekend, as it has been forecast. So Friday's running is out of the way. We are on Saturday morning for practice 3. Those changes will be made real when we pull out of the garage in practice 3. The energy store will have a brand new component fit and ready to go. The other components taken from their practice backups back to their fastest and bestest gives us the best opportunity to set a nice representative time in practice 3. Let's do that.
The session has drawn to a close, so let's review our top 3. Skip, Norris and Charles Leclerc. Sadly, it's time to say goodbye as free practice is over. However, we'll be back shortly for more Formula 1 action.
Fastest. The decision was made to change a component. The 10th place grid penalty, as you will see, flashed up on the timings there. That will be taken prior to the start of the race. 2 attempts at a hot lap in that session. The first a 37.0, the second a 36.3. One of the weak spots of the weekend so far has been Sector 1. In that last hot lap attempt, my Sector 1 times were pretty much level with most of the rest of the drivers in the top 10. An indication perhaps that I can have a good qualifying session and maybe recover a few points and a few places, fingers crossed, in a way that I couldn't do in Japan because of stupid plans. Let's not be stupid this time. See what we can pull back. Almost a second between Skip in first and Lando Norris in second. Lando Norris is the guy I have to be in front of at the end of this weekend. I need to be ahead of him in the driver's standings. Practice sessions are done. we'll have a look at all the delicious resource points that the Mercedes team has won, and then we can get the build to qualifying underway. Let's go. Lewis once again beats me on development points. Various discounts now offered on components that would pay dividends in the second season. Screen. There we go. Oh, there'll be an email from my manager, Emma. I bet you'll never guess what she says. In a million years. Saturday afternoon, qualifying, pretty much all ready to go. Let's have a look at their messages. Good luck this session. We're all expecting a good result. My God, I can't wait to fire your ass. Circuit of the Americas here. Little weekend preview from Mark. I don't know about you, but I absolutely love this track. It's like Silverstone mixed with Yas Marina mixed with Istanbul Park. It's great. Obviously, one of the highlights is that triple apexed corner of turns 16, 17 and 18. Be wary on the exit because it's a very short run to a small braking zone for 19. There's a lot of time to be gained there. You can carry a lot of speed, but even more to be lost if you aren't paying attention, and I think I have been proving that a lot in Sector 1 in particular. Nothing else for us to look at here, really. Overall wear now on the powertrain, 25%. Thank goodness for that. That third energy store really helping out. So, qualifying will come up next. We will have a gamble on that. If you have been half asleep while all the practice sessions have been going, wake up! We're going to gamble soon. Psst, psst. Hey! Hey! Psst. Gambles! Predictions on qualifying and race outcome to come. Let's get ourselves all hyped and psyched and ready to go with qualifying. Toto, give me a big telling off, probably. Isn't it crazy? I can choose my qualifying tyre here. It's one-shot qualifying. Just give me the soft. God damn it! Okay, folks, it's gamble time. So the last time we had a prediction on qualifying, we basically found ourselves in an identical situation where there was a component change and we knew there was a 10 place grid penalty. And I'm looking at the 4 options from Japan. I'm thinking, I'm just going to use them again. Will it be pole position? It really needs to be today. I think it's doable, but it also needs to be, because that 10 place grid penalty. So that really has to be today's goal. Can I do it though? Do you think I can do it? Or will it be anywhere between positions 2 and 6, or positions 7 and 10, or things go really bad, positions 11 to 20? 10 place penalty. 10 place. We're not voting on qualifying plus penalty. Don't forget qualifying. Where I qualify at the end of this session. Yeah. Whew. The car will be a lot lighter. So that 36.3, we should well be faster, comfortably faster than that. We have about 40 seconds left on the bet. One gambler so far. This is a one and done offer. And then we will move on. So it could be an all or nothing for our better, for our one gambler. So the way the one-shot qualifying works is there are, unlike at the beginning of the season, where I was using flashbacks, no flashbacks. If I really mess up a lap, restart the whole lap. The goal is one full uninterrupted lap. If it's a disaster, I'll redo it. If it's a couple of little mistakes, but it's not a disaster, those kind of things I'll take on the chin. I know when it's not right. Okay, so one bet on pole, so it's all or nothing on pole. That's what I'm hoping for. Let's get comfy and eyes down for a full house. This could be... this could either be one really good lap or 9 attempts at a reasonable one. Let's go to track, fingers crossed. This is it. Bad sector 1, hasn't it? Lots of time lost there. What recovery can we make, if at all possible? of sector 1. It's just not getting sweaty. Better. Okay.
Fantastic! You've got pole position.
Much happy with that one.
With qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves of our top three: Skip, Verstappen and Sergio Perez. Well, that wraps up qualifying, but don't worry, we'll be back tomorrow as we head into the Grand Prix.
.2 seconds faster than anyone else. It was a rough sector 1 on that first attempt. On the second attempt, it was a lot tidier, and look at the difference it made. 1:34.442 for Skip. Almost 2 seconds faster than the fastest lap in all of the practice sessions. Max Verstappen at 1:35.6. Sergio Perez at 1:35.7, the same as Lando Norris. Lewis Hamilton, my teammate, also at 1:35.7. Lando and that McLaren man, he's been dangerous in the latter stage of this season. Good performance as expected by the Red Bulls. Lewis Hamilton right up there as well. If you take myself out of the equation and we look at I mean pretty much Verstappen to Leclerc, that is crazy close. Comfortably under 0.3 of a second. Hold 5 drivers together. Carlos Sainz a little bit slower in 7th, 1:36.2. Daniel Ricciardo, Fernando Alonso, Kevin Magnussen. Hey, the Haas team did well today. 10th and 11th, Mick Schumacher. Half a tenth behind his teammate. Not bad. Nicholas Latifi, of course, as we saw earlier on in the session, retired. He will start from the back of the grid. Okay, so pole position is the result. I am pleased to be able to return the 1,000 engagements that 5 It's a Magic Number put down. Congratulations on getting that back. It's a shame you didn't win anything extra. But when everyone else is fast asleep and you and me are the only people here, I guess that's the outcome. Thank you for the GGs. That second attempt felt a lot better. If I could race like that, if I can hold it together through Sector 1 for most of the race like that, we could have fun. We could have fun. The strategy needs to be on point. Good news, though. The best qualifying position I could possibly give you will translate to a P11 start, maybe further ahead if anybody else has penalties to take. Anyway, we'll find out as once we hit race day itself. how are things looking in the rivalry. Beat Lewis in qualifying, so that's 1 additional point. 22-20. I don't see myself moving from 13 to 14 here. You can just watch that bar ever so slightly move to the right. I'm really happy with that.
So, unfortunately, we've picked up some grid penalties and we'll be starting further back than you expect. As for how bad it is, that'll depend on what the other drivers get.
Indeed. It was all part of the equation this weekend. And in a position like this, you can think, well, you idiot, why did you decide to take that penalty? But it had to happen at some point. Let's just get it out of the way. Just make the most of the of today's race and the other 3 races ahead. Now, 5 of you were asking if I thought about the passing places. Turn 1 at the top of the hill and the hairpin is a good spot. Potentially, if you're very cheeky, turn 9, which is after all the left-right stuff in sector 1. Otherwise, it would be turn 11. Which is that first, I mean, pretty much close to a hairpin, right before that that back straight. There's maybe turn 15 before you hit that kind of 3 apex right turn. Turn 20, the last corner before the start-finish straight. You'd have to be really lucky. I think by that point it's kind of hard to close a gap. You'd be more focused on turn 1 and getting us close enough to pick up the DRS. It'll be interesting. There are several places where it's about catching as opposed to about passing, if that makes sense. But we shall see how that goes. Let's check in on the workstation and get things moved on at Jesus Christ, 9:15, flipping it. The pre-race briefing. Be careful coming out the pits, especially if you have damage. The car won't be at peak braking performance and the stopping distance could be longer than expected. Have a good race. Thank you. And that's everything. We don't really need to worry about anything else here. So it is time to get that pre-race build-up hype going. We'll learn exactly where I'll be starting on the starting grid, and we'll get our race prediction underway. Lots to come.
Welcome once again then to the United States Grand Prix here in the magnificent city of Austin. It was here in 2018 that Kimi Räikkönen delighted the world by taking the top step of the podium for the first time in 114 races. There's always a record to be broken, so what, I wonder, is in store for us today? We have 10 turns to the left and 10 turns to the right here at the fantastic Circuit of the Americas. Overtaking opportunities into turn 1 and turn 12 at this anti-clockwise track. It's 3.6 miles long and we should see average lap speeds of around 126 miles per hour. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. Sergio Perez will lead us away from pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Sainz, Fernando Alonso, and Magnussen.
Oh, okay.
Mick Schumacher.
8th place.
They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Ocon and Max Verstappen. Bottas.
Verstappen with a penalty. Norris with a penalty.
Alex Albon and Vettel.
Come on.
Stroll, Ricciardo. They've taken a grid penalty. Yuki Tsunoda and Guan Yu Zhou. Latifi and Pierre Gasly picks up the final grid slot today. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. It's race day yet again, and joining me for a chat is Natalie Pinkham. Now, our racers are certainly in for a rough day today. What will you be watching for as they go down into turn 1?
Well, the start of the race is always one of the most nerve-wracking parts.
Always.
You have to hope that everyone is able to get a clean start. And this is possibly the trickiest part of the entire race. So many drivers in such a small space. And finding your braking point into turn 1 as well. It's testament to the driver's skill that there aren't more incidents.
Waiting for my engineer to say something then. Apparently not. Doesn't want to wish me well, the goit. Anyways, so I was hoping there might be a little benefit there from other drivers taking penalties. Quite a few have, so I have moved from 11th up to 8th. 8th is a nice spot to start there. A good opportunity to maybe make some early passes. We shall see. Race strategy is going to be pretty key, though. Perhaps the biggest issue that I have is the position on the starting grid by being an 8th. I'm not on the racing line. I'm on the dirty side of the track. I will need to pull over to the right as soon as I can once I have made my start. Staying on the left-hand side, coming up to that very tight left-hander on turn 1 is a bad idea. Race strategy then. Let's see what we have to play with. The default strategy. Starting on mediums and ending the session on hard. This is the classic. We've seen this a lot. The alternate strategy, a 2-stopper. I fell into the 2-stop trap in Japan. I'm not doing it here. So the focus will be on whether personalized has really made any difference. We had an interesting situation, I think, where there was an alternate strategy. There was a personalized default strategy, to use the game's language, where a soft tyre instead of a medium was used. So running a shorter first stint on softs and running a longer second stint on the hard tyres. Starting in 8th, starting ahead of Lando Norris, crucially. Is good. Making moves ahead is also good, but critically, not falling back is the most important thing this evening. What did race strategy, that practice program, kind of inform us about in terms of what I might be able to work with? A change in fuel load. A slightly faster race and slightly less tyre wear. That's how our strategy is affected. There's no consideration starting on the soft tyres, moving over to the hards. Now the thing about this is, if many of the cars around us this is where the conservative strategy comes into play. If many of the cars around us are doing the same thing, then you pit at the same time, a lap early, a lap later, you try and get the undercut or the overcut, and you're just sort of going with the flow of what that race is doing. You're not trying to aggressively change the circumstances. That didn't pay out in Japan. It will not pay out here. The personalized default strategy must therefore be the one we use. And that is baked in. So that leaves us with how we deal with the race prediction. Starting from 8th on the grid today, every possibility that I could finish 8th or finish a couple of positions ahead. I think, therefore, again, the shape of this bet isn't too dissimilar from what we were planning in Japan. But if I do drop back, I've shuffled the groupings. As always for your race day bet, 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I don't really have like a good sound. It's just like a. I mean, we know there's. That normally gets people's attention. Let's get that bet on for you. 5 minutes starting now. Podium finish. That'd be nice. If not, positions 4 to 8. So from where I start up to just off the podium. I think that's possible today. If I drop back, anywhere between positions 9 to 14 or the bottom 5. Those are your options. As always, at this point, I will be taking the pre-race P because when I come back, we've got 28 laps of racing. It could take about an hour to do, so there's a long way to go, and I need to be as comfortable as possible in order to do that. So the bet is live, folks. You've got just over 4 minutes. Please place your bets, spend your engagements, be bold if you fancy, and I will be back in a few. Much better, thanks. Okay, so here we are, ready for the race, and the prediction window is closing pretty much right now, and it's a 50-50. That makes things interesting, doesn't it? Double or nothing. There we go. 50% of the wager is on podium. 50% of the wager is on positions 4 to 8. Let's hope for a good one. I feel better about my prospects now than I did about an hour or so ago. Maybe an hour and a half. So it should be a fun race. A feeling that there are good opportunities here, and I'm not hindered by a risky strategy. There's every possibility once this race is over, and some weird thing happened, and then when we look at the results and we see who pitted for what, we'll be like, so and so did a risky strategy and made it pay off. Why didn't I do that? And I'll never win, and I'll never be happy. Right, we've got the formation lap to do. Let's get myself into race position. Formation lap, and the race coming up. Lots to get on with. So no more farting around. Let's make this work. As always, don't check chat and drive rules are in place. I will keep an eye on chat as and when I can. But in these race conditions, boy oh boy, it get busy. And I do need to keep my eyes on the road. Now, let's make sure the microphone is in a good spot. I think that's all right. Let's go.
Clutch bite is good, gearbox is responding normally. Make sure to warm up the tyres and brakes. Warm the tyres and brakes throughout the lap, please.
So Mick Schumacher here, arguably out of position in 7th. Magnussen also in 6th. Ocon and Verstappen behind. I'll be honest, Verstappen's going to be one of those drivers I'm not going to be able to have an answer to.
No threat of rain for the time being, conditions look good.
Okay. So it's just starting to come in the window, got to watch out for those brakes. Also have to watch out for parking. Will adjust my earphones in just a moment. In fact, I'll do that right now. Can't hear myself enough. I'm not getting the feedback I usually get, so. Yeah, it's also fiddly today. Okay, right.
Okay, not the best place for me, mate. Let's try and
really messed that up. I didn't pull over to the left early enough.
Okay, so that's the rest of the grid forming up now. Be patient.
Didn't like that very much. Terrible start. Get bent, man. Jesus. Just getting so much wheel spin. Happy with that start, but I'm gonna make that one stick. Let's race. Just horrible wheel spin. Magnussen's got to be easy.
Just focus now for the rest of the race.
Stay behind him. Slipstream. Schumacher's creating a gap behind. On the brakes. We'll have DRS on lap 3. Not a bad place to be here. I just can't let that gap ahead increase. Those front runners, I don't want to get too far ahead. Jesus. Calm down. Calm down. That's better. It's a long race. Wet.
DRS is being enabled this lap. We can use DRS when you're within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone.
Well, he made contact with me that time. Okay, 5th place ahead of Kevin Magnussen. It was that'll be an interesting overtake to watch in the highlights after the race. Right, now to chase down the Ferraris.
To your teammate ahead is 2.8
lap.
seconds.
Time to stay cool, have good laps. driver in front.
Science ahead. Okay, gap to the car ahead is 1.3 seconds. They're on fresh mediums. Their tyres are 3 laps old. We think they've got one more stop. Time last lap was a 1 minute 39.7. And you're closing by 0.4 a lap. Keep it going.
That's good. Oof. Next lap there'll be DRS. Teammate status.
We're currently trailing our teammate by 2.4 seconds. They're on old mediums. They're in second. Your last lap time was a 1:40.4.
DRS is coming. Let's go. Used up a lot of battery though. I'm now officially in this pack. This is a good place to be. Need to stay close and keep my nose clean. DRS coming up again. About 6/10 to Carlos Sainz here. Everyone's getting DRS from everybody else. Very ugly. I've lost time there. I need to be taking corners like that. otherwise I'm just going to keep losing time. Terrible lap. Lost DRS. Gonna have to close that back up again. Thing, despite not holding it together particularly well here, is no one has passed the two Haas cars. They're creating a bit of a train. That is helping a lot. No DRS on this lap. Just
car
focus.
ahead starting to create a gap.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Just starting to pull away from us now.
I don't like it. That's it. Looking for DRS, come on. There it is, that's the beep we want to hear. Stay close to these people. Starting to give out. Okay. Full race update.
That's P5, you're in P5. Okay, Sainz is ahead of you. Less than a second separates you. They're on old mediums. Magnussen's behind. And the gap behind us is 7.9 seconds. They're on old mediums. Okay, so gap to the leader is 2.3 seconds. You've got 4 laps until your pit window opens. You've You've got 20 laps left until the end.
Big race. Tyres are starting to scream.
Okay, be careful. We think you're going to start losing some tyre grip.
I can already feel it. That's getting difficult. A little bit further back this time. This is really tense racing. Just stay close to them. This is all right. Closer.
We're approaching the pit window now, and you're going to be on hards next time.
Fight me, bro.
And gap to the car in front is 1.6 seconds.
Fourth place, eat it. Driver in front.
Leclerc ahead. Okay, gap ahead is 1.2 seconds. They're on old mediums. Okay, they've done 10 laps on those tyres. We think they've got one more stop. And the time last lap was a 1 minute 40.6. We're gaining by around 0.2 per lap. Keep going.
Carlos is dropping back. No DRS yet. Tyres are really starting to get old here. No beep. tyres are really starting to give out. This is a very difficult corner to hang on to now. No one coming into the pits yet. And there's DRS. Okay, here we go.
In this lap, push now.
Pick up DRS from Charles Leclerc this time. They are so close to each other. I think we'll hear it. Yes. I'm able to race today. Hamilton defending against Charles Leclerc. Looks like Charles is going to take this. Did it. Now it's me versus my teammate. I've had a couple of rough corners there. I think I'm ready to come in and get these fresh hard tyres on. So for a good stop. Hello, Nick.
Perfect job.
Yes.
On the turn in there, mate. Looks like a
No
nice
dramas with the stop.
time. We're happy with that one.
Early pitters, myself and Charles Leclerc. Let's go.
Look after these tyres now. We want to finish the race on this compound.
Will be a little tricky for this first lap or two, I think, on the hard tyre. They take a little while longer to get in the window. But I'm racing Charles Leclerc for position. The cars will be pitting from this point. Lewis is in the pits now.
Okay, Lewis is in for his stop.
Yeah, it'll be coming.
Perez has just made a move for first place.
Hamilton and Leclerc having a coming together. Very rude there, cutting that corner. But there's an opportunity here that I could get my teammate. And I'm all for it. I need points. I need a good race. Get DRS. He's going to be defending against me. Third place. He's going to be a tough competitor. Perez in the lead. Charles Leclerc second place. Got a long way to go yet. Lap 15 of 28. No more pit stops. A big race here. Big race indeed. Corners, bad move. Do not need Lewis closing that gap. He will have DRS on me, and I don't think I have it from Charles Leclerc here. That puts me on the defensive. Yep, no DRS. Lewis has it. Having a look. He was looking on the inside.
Some information on Magnussen for you. They've got an issue with their car, they're going to be slow.
DRS. It's getting difficult, huh? Attempts on that corner, that gets me nice and close to Charles Leclerc. He's very close to Perez.
Nice move, good job.
Second place. Car setup is working very, very well today. Tires to hold it together. Engine's good. Fuel load is good. Could push more on the fuel if I needed to. May have to if I want to catch up and overtake Sergio in the lead in the Red Bull. Full race update.
Okay, you sat in P2. Perez ahead. Okay, the gap is less than a second. Okay, they're on fresh hards. Leclerc behind. Less than a second separates you. Okay, they're on fresh hards. Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now. And 11 laps to go.
can get him. We can get him. Not if I do that. Might take a couple of laps to close the gap on him and make it work, but we can get this done before the race is over. Driver behind.
It's Perez ahead of you. Okay, the gap is less than a
That's not
second.
what I asked.
Okay, they're on fresh hards. Okay, they got 4 laps on their tyres. Time last lap was a 1:40.0. We're gaining by around 0.2 per lap. Keep going.
Driver behind.
Leclerc is behind you. Less than a second separates you. Okay, they're on fresh hards. Their tyres are 5 laps old. Your last lap time was a 1:40.4.
Right, DRS is back, but Charles Leclerc is not a million miles away here. Sergio's still there. Lewis has got past Charles. Things have got a bit bumpy. Might take a lap or two to make this work again. Trouble is Lewis is closer. But I do have DRS on Sergio. What a race this has turned out to be. Oh, come on in, Panda. I do have to worry about my teammate behind me now, though. I can't overdrive like that either. Let's go get him. Managed to send it last time. I'm not sure we're going to be able to get it done this time. We're not as close. Although I bump into him like that, that's not good either.
Great manoeuvre, you made it look so easy.
Not very gentlemanly, but it got the job done. But Perez is close. And we'll have DRS on me. The problem now is that I don't have it and the cars behind will. Overspeed is insane. And it's very close behind. Sergio Perez has taken the lead again. Charles Leclerc has taken Hamilton back. Perez? He was getting his own back. What a spicy race this has been, folks. Maybe the best of the season. It's been proper competitive. Lap 22 or 28. There's more of a gap now to the cars behind. They'll be fighting each other as well. It's very close between Perez, Leclerc and Hamilton. Sainz just a little further back. I need to just hold it together now. I don't have any cars in front to distract me. Nothing I risk bumping into. Now it's a case of holding this all together in what could be a race win. Very close to breaking the DRS toe behind as well. Those cars to be more than a second behind me when we get to the DRS zones. Sector 1 is definitely better than it was at the beginning of the evening for me. Plenty of fuel. Fuel information.
Okay, we've got 7 laps worth of fuel remaining.
Yep, nothing to worry about. Whoops. It's all right. 2 seconds to Sergio Perez. You don't have to worry about that DRS, and this car has some serious pace. Teammate status.
Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 4.1 seconds.
Yes, mate.
Okay, they're on old hard tyres. They're currently 5th. And the time last lap was a 1:40.5. And that's just 5 laps of fuel remaining.
Lewis Hamilton has dropped back to 5th. Whoa. I thought he was going to be joining me on the podium. Well, there I thought we were going to maybe take each other out and not fit in them. Come on. Lap 26 of 28. That gap is sort of staying the same lap on lap on lap. Just under 2 seconds. Sergio. We'd love to know exactly how far back Verstappen ended up today.
Right, we've got enough fuel for 3 more laps.
We're good, baby. We're good. Contact damage. I think most cars I've encountered today have got contact damage. I've been brutal. This perhaps gives you an indication of what might have been achievable in Japan had I not been stupid with the strategy. I've done the same as the other cars around me, and I've made it work. And there was enough in the car to deliver. Just have faith in the car. This is the lesson here, I think. Lap 27 to 28. Penultimate. Great sector one. That is, Japan was tougher to pass, yes, for sure. But the way the cards fell, I wasn't as close. I was able to close in on that pack of like 5 cars and get close enough and be patient enough to pick them off at the right spot in the track. There wasn't really the same opportunity in Suzuka for that. Last lap coming up.
Okay, this is your final lap of the race.
Tough weekend for Latifi, out of qualifying, out of the race. And our final lap. Pole position in qualifying. A 10-place grid penalty for the race. However, far from the only car in that top 10 to require more component changes. Yellow flag here for Latifi's retirement. No overtakes allowed in the yellow flag section. We're back to green.
Okay, just 2 laps of fuel remaining now. Okay, clear.
So a lot of changes in position. Max Verstappen crucially also had to take a penalty and drop back. Left me was starting 8th. Of rough attempts at the start, plenty of wheel spin. You can see Perez closing up here. It's going to be a very tough end to this race as he puts a little bit of pressure on. He took advantage of me lifting through the yellow section by the looks of it, but managed to get up to 6th within the first lap or so and just start picking cars off one by one. Myself and Charles Leclerc were the first 2 cars to come in and pit from mediums to the hards. And once I got past him, anything was possible, including, hopefully, a win.
Ah, fantastic drive. That's just fantastic. Amazing. You deserve that race win. Well done, mate.
I was the driver of the day. Shut your face.
That's it then for another magnificent United States Grand Prix, and they have hung on to take a sublime victory here today. Napoli Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I think the key here was just the quality of racecraft. I mean, how many overtakes did they make overall? I'm sure we have a stat person keeping score somewhere, and it was fantastic to watch, wasn't it? This is a strategic sport, but it's always really gratifying to see close-fought battles on track. It's what all the fans are after.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it. So let's review the drivers' standings. Charles Leclerc, currently leading the championship standings, extends his lead even further with this result. Let's focus on driver of the day, Natalie Pinkham. Come on, who do you pick?
I think for driver of the day, I'd probably pick Lando Norris.
Rubbish.
He lived up to every inch of his reputation today, and I think he'll be going home, quite rightly, a bit proud of himself.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Well, what an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who's joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
Let's have a look at the Constructors' Championship. Oh, we'll ignore that because there's no change. Best race of the season. Hands down, best race of the season. And I liked Spa. I may have told you about it once or twice. I was not expecting a race win out of this one. I thought a podium would be within reach. But it seems the pace in that Mercedes today and the result of the aerodynamic and chassis developments, kind of the result of those developments over the course of the season has really paid off. And what was quite a tricky car to drive and understand at the beginning of the season has resulted in a car that started in 8th place, and not by accident, not by cars ahead having problems, not by weird stuff, but by on-track action. That car, this driver, has got it from 8th to the top step of the podium. 25 points, the fastest lap. I could not pull off, and to be honest, that late in the race, I don't think I really had it in me. Especially as Sergio Perez was closing up that gap. But fastest lap goes to Max Verstappen, who needs every point he can possibly get in his battle against Charles Leclerc. Lando Norris, very, very close though on that fastest lap. I'm reckoning he must have come in for a late stop and changed over to softs. It'll be interesting to check out his strategy. The only driver in at least the top 14 that attempted an alternate strategy. That's a driver that made it pay off. I don't think the same could have been said for me, considering where I started and where I finished. I think a two-stop strategy would not have seen me on the podium today, let alone the race win. Speaking of which, let's pay out on that prediction, shall we? We had a 50-50. 2,000 engagements put on a podium, 2,000 engagements put on positions, 4 to 8. It was a head-to-head between 5, it's a magic number, and a Merry Dave, our winner. We predicted a podium finish. Also, today's stream champ. It's 5, it's a magic number. Congratulations. The faith havers, or the faith haver, has been duly rewarded. So GG's and congratulations to you, and commiserations to Merry Dave, and also hello, Merry Dave. It was very close in the end. That last lap in particular, Sergio Perez 2/10 behind as we crossed the finish line. My turn 20 was a little bit ropey, to be fair. I was kind of scared he was going to take the win right on the line. Thankfully, that was not the case. Max Verstappen did well on a one-stop strategy as well to pull up to 6th from 10th. Tough day for Lewis Hamilton. May well have had damage in the battles. I'll be very interested, actually, to see how the tussles played out. So before we pour over race director and all of that stuff, we've got to take a look at them race highlights. I'll be interested to see that opening lap in particular, because I did not have the best start. Eighth on the grid. Quite a bit of wheel spin, a little bit of pulling. Verstappen behind gets ahead. I take an inside line. I have a pretty big bump against the Alpine. That was Ocon, I believe. Let's go back. A lot happened actually in that start. Let's bring up the board. A slow first phase to that start puts me in a bad position, right? Starting 8th, Esteban Ocon in 9th already is ahead of my front wing. Max Verstappen has pulled out from behind over to the right and is alongside me pretty quickly. You can also see Valtteri Bottas has pulled out to the, as we see it, at the left-hand side, and is looking to have an opportunity to have a pop at Esteban Ocon in the Alpine. So there are several cars attempting to take each other or find ways past them. So as the camera angle changes, I've dropped down to 11th. Lando Norris behind in 12th. Ocon now sweeping over to the left-hand side of the track. Valtteri on the right-hand side. Verstappen got a nice clean gap in the middle. Now this is what we were talking, well, what I was talking about before the race started, is that as we look at it, the right-hand side is the dirty line of the track. When you come into turn 1, the racing line is on, as we see it, the left-hand side. Cars will want to, unless they are making an aggressive move, will want to pull over onto the racing line. This is what Esteban Ocon is already doing. What that does is it creates a massive bit of clear air for me in front. Sergio Perez and Lewis Hamilton you can see towards the bottom right of your screen. Lewis has got the tighter line here, but Sergio having the having a less sharp turn to make, and will no doubt hit the curb quite nicely once he gets past turn 1, should be able to just carry through and take the lead. Lewis is taking a look at that, but behind we've got a lot of cars taking a lot of different angles. And this circuit, there are several parts of this circuit that are deliberately wide for this reason. Five had pointed this out in chat a little bit earlier. And this means that drivers have a lot of different lines they can take, either trying to overtake or catch up or defend or what have you. So at this point, Lewis Hamilton is going into that corner first, Sergio Perez second, Leclerc and Sainz. Alonso has managed to get himself up to 5th. He had a cracking start. But Kevin Magnussen, in 6th place, is on the inside, so that's kind of his. Mick Schumacher's probably going to lose out. Not Mick Schumacher, he's not going to lose out in this. Alonso will probably lose out because of the lines that the other cars are taking here at the moment. Alonso doesn't really have much room for manoeuvre up ahead. All he can really do is kind of back off a little bit and hold his line, or pull over to the outside a little bit where it's clearer. At this point, I'm back into 8th position. The melee of Ocon and Bottas and that lot, they've all joined the racing line again and are concerned with each other, and I've just charged in through that clear air. The problem I have now is finding a gap on the inside and being able to brake in time. And this is where the first coming together happens, right? You can already see, actually, Kevin Magnussen and Carlos Sainz having a little bump together here. So that's contact there as they're kind of fighting for the inside line. I've come in very, very fast and deep. And basically, I will bump into the side of Alonso. I also bump into the side of Kevin Magnussen's front wing. That may have caused some damage. But I have effectively used Alonso to help me turn. I mean, from within my view in the cockpit, I couldn't really see how close I was to him, but that is indeed quite close. I'm surprised if my front wing, to be honest, gets through this race. So I've really charged on in, quite rude. Basically bumping off Alonso a little bit. In reaction, he'll have to pull over to the right a little bit, which helps create that room. It looks to me like it's kind of clean, actually, between Magnussen and Carlos Sainz, but Sainz is ahead here, and we'll be able to cut Magnussen off. But what a start to that race. I mean, that is some pretty close racing right there. There's a lot of cars all gubbed up together. Charles Leclerc basically staying out of trouble. Hamilton ahead of Perez here, and look. Pretty much locked in. There's going to be some cars with incomplete bodywork for sure. So hard to control the camera here. So yes, there was some contact. That much is clear. Let's get that board back up. Okay, so at this point, I've got past Mick Schumacher, and I've bumped into Alonso, which is going to make his life a bit difficult. I think he manages to have the grip together, but it does force him over to his right a little bit. So that's me straight going over the curb, and as predicted, Sergio Perez having the wider line is now taking advantage of the curbs at the outside. So the lead is his. Hamilton in second. Charles Leclerc here. Things are nice and tidy for him. Magnussen is still doing all right here against Carlos Sainz, but crucially Carlos is going to have the inside to turn 2, and that'll drop Magnussen back. Alonso at this point, because of being nudged, has gone off quite wide now, and that's where he loses out to Mick Schumacher and potentially more. I think he might lose out to Ocon. Change angle again. So that's 2 positions made up in turn 1. Schumacher passed Alonso. And that's kind of that. Right, let's take that back a little bit, and we'll carry on with the. There could be a lot of stop and start with this one, because depending what gets shown in this, I will need to investigate exactly how lucky I was in some of those passes. So 6th place. Lap 3. This is turn 1 again, I think. And there's your contact. Who did I make contact with? Again, the camera angle doesn't really help here, but there's a lot of crunching and bumping coming up. Right there. Back to photo mode. Magnussen. That's Mick Schumacher, so already made that. So I was battling with Magnussen going around the outside, and he did a little bump into me. How was that front wing looking, by the way? Did I get away unscathed? It's all intact, sir. Not so much for K-Mag. Look at that. That contact has cost him. And even a little bit of damage like that on your front wing loses you valuable seconds. So yes, that would have that absolutely would have affected his speed. In fact, what's that? Now that could be a bit of tire rubber coming off actually, but it also could be a bit of carbon fiber. It's hard to make out. Might be from the tires. So yeah, contact with Magnussen, taking him on the outside. Unfortunately, the camera angle in the highlights doesn't do a good job of illustrating exactly what's going on. Pass is made lap 11, so this is before tyre changes are made, and another run into turn 1. More contact with Carlos Sainz. There's more contact here. Look, in very close. And to be honest, I think if this happened outside of the confines of a game, I think you are more likely to have a car on the outside, a driver on the outside, more alert to what's going on. I think they would be more likely to anticipate someone coming in on the inside and not find themselves in a situation where they're going to bump together like that. Feels like silly AI to me. Corrects himself far too late there. Enough to slow him down and enough for that pass to stick. So what does that do? That's 4th, passing Carlos Sainz for 4th place on lap 11, just 2 laps before the pit stop start. Super slow-mo, skips dead eyes. Keeping his eyes on the prize, indeed. After. And contact ahead there. As Leclerc and Hamilton race against each other. Lap 20. More bumping and close contact. This was the first attempt on Sergio Perez, I think. Yeah. Jeez. We need to see that again. That's a lot of close racing. So a very similar story. That run into turn 1, look. The car I'm overtaking takes the racing line. We'll have a less dramatic turn. But there I am on the brakes. Surprise, we've not even got to the apex yet, and my nose is ahead. Perez, like the other cars that we've seen, is turning in as if there isn't going to be a car there. So again, an issue with contact. I don't think anything too dangerous. I think at this point, again, it would be worth seeing how close this gets and whether all bodywork is intact. Damage to Perez. No damage to Skip. I have been phenomenally lucky here, right? But I think it's because I get ahead at the corners. And so when the other car starts to turn, it's their end plate that's making contact with me, and my end plate is clear and fine. But yet again, another car I've battled with came off worse for wear. Sucks to be you. Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, Carlos Sainz. No other cars rendered probably for this. So this is the first attempt at grabbing the lead. Both stay on the track. But tight enough that Perez does have to back off. But he is close, and he is fast, and there's no way he's giving up without a good old scrap, and that scrap comes. Who turns 2, 3, 4, 5. Look at this. He's seen a gap on the inside, and he's absolutely going for it. Now I'm the one turning, and I don't expect him coming along, and we've made contact again. Right there, look. Leclerc's pretty close here. He's got a front row seat to this. So what's happened is I've taken a kind of a wider line, but still nabbing the apex of this turn. Sergio thought there was an opening, and it kind of didn't exist. And it's caused contact again, this time tyre to tyre. So at least it's kept his front wing out of further damage. But that's enough to kind of knock me offline a little bit. And it's the fact that it knocks me offline here, right? That contact, the speed, that force that he's punched into the car has kind of knocked me offline. Which means that as I go to correct, Perez nabs the lead. Things get very close with Perez here too. Thankfully, I have the inside line to the next turn. And I'm much closer to it than Leclerc is. But there's a moment here where I'm in third. But snap in, grab that second place, and Lewis and Charles are both fighting again. Man, there's so much going on. Wonder how much of this we see. No, just that much. Next lap. Second attempt. Brutal. A much clearer gap ahead this time. On the back DRS straight. Deep defending. No DRS on my car. So look at the gap close. Perez takes the lead yet again. Leclerc and Hamilton battling behind. We don't get to see the final pass that actually makes it, sadly. There was a lot of battling there. God, blimey, crazy stuff. This is right. Okay, final lap, and it still doesn't look like there's any. Oh, there might be a bit of damage. There might be a bit of damage to that front wing. Let's check it out. I think there's a little bit. Yep. So it must have happened quite. I mean, like physics explain why a bit floats like that, but it must have happened quite late when I was in one of the last attempts, maybe the successful attempt on getting past Sergio. That might. I mean, it doesn't necessarily explain why he was able to close the gap right at the end, but it might explain why the gap was sort of, in the last few laps, was sort of maintaining itself between 1.5 and 2 seconds. So yeah, a little bit of damage in the end on one of the end plates of the front wing. I think the rest of the car has managed to get through it unscathed, though. Yeah. Lucky. And this is where I thought it was going to be over for me. I didn't think I had a particularly good drive out of the final turn, and I thought Perez was going to have my lunch here. Just that little flick over to the left. Woof. Probably watch the full replay of that if I could. Can I save it? Fun with replays. Can I do a replay of the whole race but from above and save the VOD after stream? No? It'd be good if I could though. It's a shame that there isn't an option to say save this replay so I can watch it later. Once you're kind of through this bit, you don't get the option to see it again, which is kind of sad. Race director. Lando Norris, soft, medium to medium, the official alternate strategy. He made it work. It made him driver of the day. Started 12th, finished 7th. He had to make that soft tyre work. Running on the medium tyre towards the end of the race definitely helped him. Again, I humbly offer the fact that if I tried to do that today, it wouldn't have worked. Plenty of other cars, though, doing the same thing. Interesting to see Stroll, Tsunoda and Latifi also try the alternate strategy and it not work out for them. Lance Stroll started 15th, dropped down to 18th. Tsunoda started 17th, dropped down to 19th. And Nicholas Latifi did not finish. He had a technical issue which took him out of the race. Well, I got warned just once for that lap 1 collision with Alonso, which was, to be fair, quite impolite. Sergio Perez told off for bumping into me. Quite right too. On one of my first attempts. Tsunoda, Latifi, Norris, Stroll, because of the strategies that they were running, were the first to pit. It wasn't until lap 13 where the one-stoppers started to come in. Fastest stop might be for me. 2.337. Nope, there we go. Fernando Alonso had a quicker one, a 2.251. Now, the standings. Have I caught up with Norris? Have I passed him? I've passed him. That race win today. That's right, I won. That race win today really helped. It's still close between the two of us. Skip now in 5th in the driver's standings with 210 points. Lando Norris 12 points behind. That's still quite close. Charles Leclerc comfortably ahead of Max Verstappen. That additional point that Max Verstappen took for fastest lap obviously helps him a little bit, but that's a big gap to close. And with only 3 races left, it still could be anybody's, but the odds favour Charles Leclerc. Lewis Hamilton comfortable in 3rd place. Carlos Sainz 234. I don't know if I'll be able to beat Carlos Sainz and take 4th in the driver's standings. That would be a cherry on the top. I need to know I'm clear of Lando here. It's still a bit dangerous. No moves in the constructors. Although Mercedes are not a million miles away from Red Bull. Red Bull second there with 497 points, Mercedes 465. A few good days at the office for Mercedes and a few bad days at the office for Red Bull. Maybe something changes. That was a great race, best race of the season. Tense. Several mistakes, but it came together nicely, and that was a lot of post-race analysis, and it is very late. So let's push on through the rest of this as quick as we can. That's Lewis beaten in the rivalry. 26 to 23. Take that. Wasn't sure that was going to be the case at the beginning of the evening, but I'm very pleased to see all 3 rivalries have been won. And failures on the development front. Very frustrating. 5 likes this track, lots of room. It's a fun one. It's a fun one. It's quite challenging technically, but when it all comes together, it's fun, and there is plenty of opportunities to race at it, so that helps an awful lot. The Mexican Grand Prix is very, very close indeed. In fact, it's the end of this here calendar week. But first, let me claim a trophy. USA! USA! Awesome. I have a trophy. We have an issue with the car, though. Aero developments have failed. The front wing gurney flap. To get that redeveloped, it will cost us what? $776. Hang on a minute, go back in, because some other stuff failed as well, right? Crankshaft. To be fair, that is not an in-season development. That will cost $462. Are they the only two failures? Yeah, right, okay, I want that done. That will have a 0% chance of failure because that is the second attempt at doing it, and it will be ready after the Mexican Grand Prix, so we'll be in place for the last 2 races of the season. In terms of aerodynamics, you can see on the vehicle performance comparison chart there, Mercedes are in the lead. That kind of thing has probably helped our car today. So, in terms of research and development in progress, the other one was the crankshaft. That part has failed, and at this point will probably not be invested in for the rest of the season. So we've got roll dampers and front wing gurney flap, which will be ready, hopefully, for the last 2 races of the season. I think then at that point, when it comes to development of the car, outside of those 2 in progress and 2 be delivered, that's it. No more development on the car. Any further development points should be saved to be spent against this. And protecting developments which have already happened to the car. For next season, and some of them are quite expensive. 2 for tyre wear, a lot on weight reduction, and weight distribution also. Nothing on brakes here yet, they're unavailable. Things that I don't need to worry about this evening. Oh yeah, I got a fancy new emote. Do I get to see what that is? I won that one today. Yes, look at that. Don't smile. Phone me. Big heart. Weird face. One eye closed, which really is quite disturbing, actually. I haven't looked at that. I've got my podium emotes here. Waving, pointing. Oh! What embarrassing sounds have I won? Let's just listen to that. Oh boy.
Woo! Back in the net! Voila! I have pulled a win out of a helmet. Woo! Did I win? Or did I win? Woo! Come on! They shoot, they score! Woo! Woo! Enjoy that, everybody. All your win are belong to us.
I'll stick with the one that I picked. It's the least cringe. Well, it's very late. It's 11:15. These streams should not be finishing these this late at all. Although, to be fair, I did have I had a hell of a nightmare getting comfortable driving around that circuit early on, and had to repeat quite a bit. Which has no doubt extended the evening. So we can advance time.
We had a major issue on the production line earlier this week, so the entire development package for this weekend has failed. Any redevelopments will need to be ordered from the R&D screen.
And how are you going to make it up to me? It will be the Mexican Grand Prix coming up this time next week, folks, with the Pirelli Hot Lap, practice sessions, one-shot qualifying, and a 50% distance race. Fun circuit, Mexico. A mix of the classic circuit layout plus some new stuff, and I had fun. I had fun in F1 2020 with this. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what can be done. When we come to this next week. Long evening, tough evening, challenging track, but an excellent race, a fun and excellent race for sure. Did not expect a race win, yet a race win we had. I'll take that all the way to the bank, thank you. Congratulations once again to 5 It's a Magic Number, who had a stellar evening. Or Stream Champ, and placed 2 correct bets. Good evening. A very good evening indeed. I'd buy a lottery ticket if I were you. Let's close this all down, shall we? As we say, thank you for your service, Mr. F122. You may, if you wish, actually, if there's no choice in it, I'd really like you to come back next week. So there's some content for Twitch. That will be here this time, well, about 6 hours ago this time. But next week from 5:30 p.m. UK time for the Mexican Grand Prix round 20 of 22. We are in the final 3. We are still at AI difficulty 63. And it's feeling about right. Maybe that final race goes up to 65. But not before. Not before, I think. Let's switch that off. There we go. Just so I don't have that all in my ear the whole time. There we go. Lovely stuff. Yeah. I think maybe final race goes up to 65. But for the next couple, Mexico and Brazil, I think we'll keep it at 63. The challenge feels about right. Thank you for your company, everybody. Thank you for sticking with me all the way through. For what turned out to be, even if practice was a bit stressful, what turned out to be a fun qualifying session and a very good race indeed. Fingers crossed then. Let's hope that we've got lots of good stuff coming up ahead over the next 3 races. There should be no more mechanical issues for us to worry about. What we have in our allocation should see us through to the end of the season. So qualifying positions that are made over the next 3 races should be the places that we start in the race. Maybe a little bit further forward, maybe not quite so sweaty. Maybe race wins are still available to us. Definitely podiums, I think. It could be a glorious end to the season. And that countdown will continue then next Sunday, 5:30 p.m. UK, because it's a long stream, we have to start earlier. Do you see how that works? Next Sunday, 5:30 p.m. UK time for the Mexican Grand Prix. Please join me for that.